Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing Star Fox for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, recorded from the SNES Classic Edition, as you can see by the border. So I was originally going to review Star Fox 64 3D, because I finally beat that game all these years later. However, my recording didn't save. So instead of just re-recording it, I said, you know what? I should probably get around to playing the Star Fox games on the Super Nintendo, because it also has the cancelled Star Fox 2 on there. And then I'll be able to look at the advancements that Star Fox 64 made over the SNES games. So this game was really revolutionary for its time. It was the first video game to use the Super FX chip, which basically improved upon the Mode 7 rotation that games like Super Mario Kart and F-Zero made popular. Now it allowed for full three-dimensional movement, and it also gave you a sense of what is above, below, behind, and to the side of you, which, to tell you the truth, there aren't that many other games I've played that still offer that sense of immersion. There were quite a few times where I would legit be flinching because I thought the bullets were actually going to go through the TV and hit me. So this is a game where you're in an R-Wing, which is basically a ripoff of the X-Wings and Y-Wings and Star Fox, or Star Wars. Pretty much everything is a play on words of Star Wars. And you're in control of Fox McCloud, who has three teammates, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy. None of them are particularly useful in this game, besides just saying, hey, Fox, can you help me out? Or, hey, Fox, let's go through this tunnel. They don't really have special abilities, at least not that I know of. Although they do tell you off for accidentally shooting them, but in a game like this, I don't know. It feels kind of weird. Thankfully, it doesn't appear like your shots actually affect their health meter, and they don't really offer that much actual help in beating the level. To my knowledge, they're kind of just there to give you a sense of teamwork or to further rip off Star Wars. So there's actually 3 difficulty levels to this game. In each difficulty, you start out on Corneria and you end on Venom, but the paths that you take in between those levels are different. So I played on level 1, and that's about as far as I could get. Now this is a fairly easy game by Super Nintendo standards, but boy does it ramp up the difficulty going forward. You'll have to really know how to dodge every bullet with near pixel perfection. Thankfully, you have a few tools to aid you on that. You can still do barrel rolls, although admittedly without the voice acting, by quickly tapping one of the shoulder buttons. You can also hold down the shoulder button to make your R-Wing go sideways, which is super cool when you're in a trench and you're trying to avoid ramming in. You can pretend to be Han Solo on the Millennium Falcon, squeezing through those tight tunnels. Oh wait, this game is plagiarizing Star Wars? You can do a count in the comment section for how many times I make a Star Wars reference during this video. You also have smart bombs, which you might remember from the Super Smash Bros. Series, where if you press the A button, you can launch a super devastating bomb that basically destroys everything in the vicinity. I say basically because it's kind of hard to judge where exactly it's hitting in the 3D space. Remember, this came before the Nintendo 64, so they were still testing the waters with 3D. But for what it has, this game is surprisingly good looking for a Super Nintendo game. Sure, it doesn't hold up very well today, but for its time, this was a masterpiece. And there are some special effects pieces, like when you go through a tunnel at multiple angles to try to get to the Death Star trench run destruction. I mean, destroying the core of the reactor. It's absolutely stunning to behold. But sometimes this game's age does hold it back from being as good of a shooter as it should. So you basically only have 2 perspectives. There's the third-person perspective, where you control the R-Wing on a limited path. They call this on-rails shooting nowadays. Or you go into cockpit mode, which is still mostly on rails. Only in cockpit mode do you actually get a reticle to tell you where you're aiming. Otherwise, you kind of just have to figure it out, because apparently conducting a ship requires you to not know where you're shooting. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, why doesn't the game go for an all or nothing feel? Also, unlike the later Star Fox games, you don't get any variety as far as the missions, so no Landmaster, no on-foot missions, it's all in the air or nothing. So this game is definitely going to put your reflexes to the test, but thankfully it's not nail-bitingly hard like games like Contra or even the original Super Mario Bros. Sure, it has a bit of a learning curve if you're not used to space shooters, but Star Wars fans should especially enjoy it because it's a faithful remake of the original trilogy. I mean, it's a good enough substitute for one of the most popular space movies of all time, using animals to replace Luke, Biggs, and... my gosh. This game just really wanted to rip off a popular license. I mean, that was the case with the original Donkey Kong trying to rip off Popeye, so maybe I'll have to look into how The Legend of Zelda copied Peter Pan. Oh wait, it did. Nintendo, do you have any original ideas? Suffice to say, this is a decent game. I wouldn't recommend getting it on its own without the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, because the rewind and save features definitely help in avoiding a lot of repetition, which you still have to do a lot with that. But on its own, it's kind of outdated by a lot of, like, Star Fox 64, Star Fox 64 3D, and many other space shooters. That being said, if you want to know where it all began, this is not a bad game by any means. It's actually doesn't have too many major problems that I can think of, besides occasionally underwhelming music and the occasional, like, how the heck was I supposed to avoid that shot? And if you're the epileptic type, you might have a bit of a seizures from all of these early 3D. But you should have a fairly good time, whatever you do. And besides, as an added bonus, if you have the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, you also get Star Fox 2, which never actually was released for the Super Nintendo. So you could do a side-by-side comparison of which one controls better on the original controller. Personally, I think the regular Super Nintendo controller is a great fit for this game, and I highly recommend you try it in that method. With that, thank you very much for watching. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and may the Force be with you. May you be always in control of your R-Wing. Bye!